Good day, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm greetings to each one of you. I am Norika Ysabel Hosono, a fourth-year student taking up Bachelor of Special Needs Education in University of Perpetual Help System Dalta, Las Piñas campus. It is my pleasure to share with you all today at this important conference our research entitled Successful Ways of Dealing with a Child with Autism Spectrum Disorder on behalf of the co-authors of this study, Dr. Benjamin C. Jr., Mark Melgar Jr., and Meldwin Ann Valencia. Several research indicates that ASD prevalence worldwide is continually growing. A person with ASD finds interacting with other people difficult. They may also find it challenging to express their emotions and thoughts. Although some individuals with ASD can function independently, others may still experience different severity that necessarily require lifelong support, where in some cases, they remain an outcasts for the rest of their lives. Therefore, reforms for individuals with autism spectrum disorder or ASD must be supplemented by broader interventions to increase accessibility, inclusion, and care in their physical and social environment. With the rising prevalence of this disability, a child with ASD can be encountered by almost anyone. Understanding the factors that contribute to dealing with children with ASD provides valuable insight for all paraprofessionals who play critical roles in their success, like their parents, educators, and other related services givers. To date, no research has claimed regarding the most effective or consistent strategies employed to deal with children with ASD. However, numerous interventions and best approaches are being practiced to improve their behavior and lessen the severity of their condition. For this reason, the researchers took the initiative to conduct the study not to contest the efficacy of the teaching strategies employed, but to focus on the extensive preparation that may contribute to the successful way in dealing with this kind of disability. Furthermore, the researchers analyzed and evaluated various preparations commensurate to the successful ways of dealing with their communication, social interaction, and behavioral issues inherent to their condition. According to Integrated Treatment Services, ASD fall under three primary characteristics, also known as a triad of impairments, which are persistent difficulties in social interaction, communication, and repetitive behavior. These core features of ASD are visible throughout an individual's life, but differ in severity depending on numerous factors such as age, learning disability, or other comorbid conditions. Consequently, educating a child with a condition that falls under this spectrum can be challenging due to the aforementioned characteristics. That is why a student with autism often face academic barriers, such as trouble in following directions, hampered communication abilities, disinterest, and even disruptive behavioral problems. This study utilizes the cognitive theory by John Piaget and the bioecological theory proposed by Bronfenbrenner. Bronfenbrenner's work is essential for building a holistic view of human and social development. It explains why children grow differently and which aspects of development are under the influence of the child and which are not. It examines the biological aspects of development and the ecology and environment in which it occurs. Another theory is the cognitive learning theory by John Piaget, where it showed that learners are influenced by intrinsic and extrinsic factors, which are both crucial components of the cognitive process at its most foundational level. These theories demonstrate how the children's environment and culture significantly impact their growth and development, leading the child to succeed to his highest potential with direct relationships and a supportive atmosphere. This study employed mixed method research, particularly the convergent parallel design. The researchers set specific criteria in choosing the respondents of the study. For the quantitative data, the researchers asked the participation of 90 respondents, which composed of parents, regular teachers, SPED teachers, and other paraprofessionals who have experience in dealing with children with autism spectrum disorder, regardless of their educational program. While for the qualitative data, the researchers asked the participation of the school administrators, regular and SPED teachers who have been teaching for at least 3 years and have experience dealing with children with autism spectrum disorder. To get the appropriate data needed for the quantitative section, the researchers made use of a researcher-made questionnaire and utilized the 4-point Likert scale for its interpretation. For the qualitative data, an interview guide question was used by the researchers. Both analyses for the quantitative and qualitative section were used as the point of interface, which contributed to the creation of the framework about the least restrictive environment for Filipino children with ASD. The SLRE stands for Studying in the Least Restricting Environment. The SLRE framework may serve as a guideline for all academic institutions to deal with Filipino learners with ASD and create a least restrictive environment for them. This framework is composed of 4 distinct themes formulated through the gathered data results about the different preparations made by the members of the SPED team and the rate of agreement on the different classroom management used to achieve the highest potential of a child with ASD. These themes are academic services, classroom management, community development, and learner-centered, which serve as the critical components of the framework that may provide optimal education in the least restricting way for Filipino learners with ASD. Moreover, for the design and structure of the framework, the researchers utilized the shape of a circle to symbolize eternity and unity, which represents the 4 themes with its corresponding sub-themes united together so that the cycle of development exists within it to help maximize the potential of a child with ASD while ensuring that they are educated in the least restrictive environment. Since this framework can serve as a guideline, the shaped circle was used to encourage them to trust the cycle they are in, because eventually, as the cycle continues, success of learners with ASD in school will be achieved. The researchers also chose to use the blue color palette because it represents the Autism Advocacy Association, known as Autism Speaks, which promotes autism awareness in the community. In addition, the color blue was chosen because it expresses feelings of serenity and acceptance in a world which can be pretty loud and overwhelming for people on the spectrum. The researchers proposed that all of the themes with its corresponding sub-themes will be considered and used all together, for they are interconnected with each other and they serve one purpose, which is to create an LRE for learners with ASD. For the first summary of findings, the total weighted mean is 3.47, which has a word description of agree and a verbal interpretation of respondents agree that this kind of preparation conducted by the members of the SPED team somehow has a great contribution to the successful ways in dealing with a child with ASD. Conclusion number 1, the members of the SPED team agree that specific preparations must be done and acquired first by those professionals involved with children with ASD. Being prepared intellectually, mainly with the different theories and backgrounds regarding ASD, before dealing with a child with ASD will help establish a better understanding of the child's unique needs. For the summary of findings number 2, the factors identified with regards to classroom management as to teaching strategies, classroom design, accommodations, modifications, instructional equipment, modes of instruction, behavior management, and physical facilities has a total weighted mean of 3.57 and has a word description of strongly agree, with a verbal interpretation of respondents agree that this kind of preparation conducted by the members of the SPED team has a great contribution to the successful ways in dealing with a child with ASD. For the second conclusion, the members of the SPED team strongly agree that the different classroom management aids in achieving the highest potential of a child with ASD. Children with autism have distinct learning features that set them apart from other learners. With this, the members of the SPED team must be knowledgeable and well-versed with the different classroom management that caters to the unique profile of a child with ASD, with consideration of student preferences, especially to their learning needs. For the third summary of findings, the researchers were able to formulate 4 distinct themes, which are academic services, classroom management, community development, and learner-centered. The academic services theme is divided into 4 sub-themes. In contrast, the classroom management theme is divided into 3 sub-themes. The third theme is community development, which is divided into 2 sub-themes. And lastly, the learner-centered, which is composed of 2 sub-themes. For the third conclusion, the researchers formulated the themes and sub-themes to remove the present learning barriers as much as possible and provide children with ASD with equal access and opportunity to learning in the least restricting manner. These themes and sub-themes give an additional view on how services and supports can be provided effectively to a child with ASD. And for the fourth summary of findings, the SLRE framework was proposed to address the learning needs of a Filipino child with ASD in a least restrictive environment. And for the fourth conclusion, the proposed SLRE framework may serve as a guideline for the least restrictive environment for Filipino children with ASD. The framework shows what is needed to be considered for learning to be achieved through supplementary aids and services. For the recommendations, the researchers would like to recommend the SLRE framework to all academic institutions to serve as a guideline in dealing with Filipino learners with ASD and creating the least restrictive environment. Number 2, the school administrators must allot funds for educational assistive devices that will benefit the learning process of learners with ASD who are placed in the least restrictive environment. Number 3, the Department of Education must fund seminars and training programs for all SPED teachers and regular teachers handling inclusive setting. For the fourth recommendation, the LGU must create programs that increase community awareness about ASD that would ensure the increase of their accessibility and inclusion in the society. Number 5, teachers must undergo seminars and training programs to update themselves on the new approaches and which differentiated strategies must be used that would help to maximize students' learning capability and achieve their highest potential. Number 6, parents of children with ASD must affiliate with all organizations that would address their child's needs. They must find time to update themselves with the current approaches, preparations, and other measures that would help address their child's learning needs with ASD. And lastly, the SPED team must collaborate with schools that would improve the services to the maximum extent possible and help create the least restrictive environment for learners with ASD. And these are the references used for the completion of the study. And that concludes our research entitled Successful Ways of Dealing with a Child with Autism Spectrum Disorder. Once again, I am Norika Ysabel Hosono. Thank you.